Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector. Happy Friday to you all. Hopefully you're enjoying this Friday. The weather is nice. It's Memorial Day weekend, so this is really the kickoff of summer. This is one of the most exciting weekends of the year. This is when you know that school's almost over. If you're still in grade school, or even if you're in college, the semester's almost over. Pools are open, beaches are open, and the world is your oyster, right? If you live in a state that's typically cold during the winter and spring, it should be getting warm enough for you to get out your surfboard, get out the swimsuits, and go for it. Also, what it could mean is now is a great time for not only retro game playing, but also retro collecting. And I had a collecting goal at the start of the year, but I had to modify it a bit. And I've actually been collecting a lot of the Spider-Man games. It's been my goal to try and collect the Spider-Man games, but I got a few comments on some of my videos, and I realized that there are a ton of Marvel games that are out, retro games on the PS2, Xbox, GameCube, as well as like the Genesis, the Super Nintendo, NES, that I think are great games, and I definitely want to have them in my collection. Some of them are going up, some of them are actually very cheap, but I'll go through with you what I currently have in my collection now and what I'm going to be looking for over the summer. So when it comes to the Sega Genesis stuff, right now I've got both of the X-Men games, so that includes X-Men, the original. This one does include the poster, so I do have the poster for that one. X-Men 2, complete in box on the Sega Genesis. Tuck those back here. I also have Captain America complete in box, but I think there's like a little extra that came with this one. I'm actually missing the little extra that came with this one. I have the Punisher. Unfortunately, my Punisher is not complete. I'm missing the manual. I need to find a manual for this one, but I actually got this on a trade, so need to see if I can get that manual soon. Next up, a recent addition to the collection, Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man on the Sega Genesis. I've got that. Then we have, what else do we got? So we have Deadpool on the PS4, Spider-Man 2, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 4. We've got Miles Morales on the PlayStation 4, and then Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. We've also got the Amazing Spider-Man 1 on the 3DS. We've got Silver Surfer, for those of you who didn't realize that there was an actual Silver Surfer game out there. Spider-Man 2, Enter Electro on the PS4, recent pickup. Maximum Carnage on the Super Nintendo. What else we got? X-Men Mutant Apocalypse on the Super Nintendo. We've also got War of the Gems on the Super Nintendo. I've got Spider-Man on the N64. We've got the Amazing Spider-Man on the PS3. Then we've got Spider-Man Web of Shadows on the PS3, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions on the PS3, Ultimate Alliance on the PS3, and then we've got Web of Shadows on the 360, Shattered Dimension on the 360, and then Edge of Time on the 360 as well. I found both Web of Shadows and Shattered Dimensions at GameStops for really good prices. That's why I have double ups. I typically don't do the doubles. And then I have Ultimate Spider-Man on the GameCube. So that's the current Spider-Man collection. But I do have other other Marvel games that I'm looking forward to adding. And a lot of them are cheap. And I'll give you an idea of what's coming down the pike. So the X-Men Legends games are actually really sick. But I decided to get them on the GameCube because they just look better on the GameCube. PlayStation 2 has a better controller, but I'm going to opt for graphics on this one. So I've got X-Men Legends that I've got my eye on, both parts 1 and 2. Fantastic Four, which is an extremely cheap game on the GameCube. That's another good one. All of the Incredible Hulk games, if you haven't thought about picking those up, if you don't have those in your collection, be on the lookout for those. A lot of those Incredible Hulk games are cheap. Including the Hulk games that came out on the Super Nintendo as well as the Sega Genesis. So I got my eye on those. There was also a Fantastic Four that came out on the PlayStation 1, but that one's pretty, it's not that good. But for the sake of Marvel, I may look into picking that one up as well. And then there's a number of like Marvel games that came out on handheld consoles like the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, DS, things like that. You also have the Wolverine games that came out as well. And then I didn't include in this collection all of like the fighters. So like X-Men, Children of the Atom, Marvel vs. Capcom, Capcom 2, all of those. I'll probably include all of those in when I do like maybe a midsummer Marvel collection review, just going all of the different Marvel games that I have. But I really want to get as many of those into my collection as possible. I just feel like Marvel, I've really been on a Marvel kick lately. And I think it's also really fun because a lot of those games are really cheap. You can find a good chunk of those games for under $10 and under. And, a lot of those same games, like some of the games that we're looking at here, like these Spider-Man games, there was a point where these games were also like 10, 15 bucks. But just now, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the hype around Marvel or just the increased, attention around, Spider-Man. Not sure what it is, but some of these games are going up in value, and they're pretty iconic. I think once I kind of finish off with my Marvel collection, I might start looking at the DC collection. So like the Batman games, the Superman games, the DC Universe games, just different comic book games, and just work my way from there. And, these are really fun because despite them being really good video games, they're also super nostalgic, especially like the older ones like Maximum Carnage, War of the Gems. Those definitely take me back to childhood. Spider-Man is super nostalgic for me, as well as the Punisher. Played all of these Sega Genesis games like as a youngster. I mean, I was under 10 when I was playing some of these games with my cousins. So really, really good stuff. And excited to be able to add some more to the collection. Where do I plan on finding some of these? Well, a lot of these games can be found at GameStop still. GameStop still carries a good number of PlayStation 3 games. They should have a good chunk of these in their library, as well as like thrift stores. Like I said, a lot of these games aren't expensive at all, especially like the Hulk games and the Fantastic Four games. Those games are really cheap. You can find a copy of Fantastic Four for as cheap as $4 online. So the good thing is that if you're not finding some of these games like at your local thrift stores, or if you're not finding them at GameStop, some of them can be purchased online without breaking the bank. And to me, I don't see anything wrong with it. If you can find the same game for less or the same price online and have it delivered to your doorstep with ease, I don't see anything wrong with that. So I'm not opposed to doing some virtual hunting as well as hunting out in the wild for some of these. But it's definitely going to be a Marvel summer for me. I may even start watching some of these movies again, especially some of the original Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. Some of the older Hulk movies, like the one with Ed Norton. I spoke about that the other day. And even some of the old school like X-Men movies. Just maybe a Marvel summer for me. So let me know if there's any particular gaming genre or any particular franchise or any particular games you're actually on the lookout for this summer. But this is something that is definitely fun for me, super satisfying. And the best part is that it's not breaking the bank. You can pick up 10, 12, 15 of these games for under $100. So really, really good stuff. But that does it for me. It's Friday. It's the Y2K Collector. I'll be back with another video this afternoon. Hopefully you've got some fun stuff planned for the weekend, and I will see you later. Take it easy.